I love to do guest panels, and gosh, this is at least the 5th or 6th guest panel I've hosted with Alan at my events. Yeah. And it is called Interdimensional Adventures, because I was inspired to bring together psychics, channelers, and mediums who are really tapping in to the interdimensionality. And so we're going to talk about that as part of our guest panel theme, and we're going to have audience Q&A. But for starters, I would just like each of these beautiful presenters, starting with Yafi, to introduce themselves and just tell us a little bit about what you do and an overview of what you offer.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. My name is Yafi. I am a channel, and I also practice and teach light language. Let's see. My main source I channel nowadays is Hathor, who through me appears as the divine feminine. And this is something that, as we know, is rising in our world and very, very needed. And what else? Somehow it's all connected also to Mother Nature and our connection to nature and our inner exploration and ETs and how it all comes together into this exciting world that we are living in right now.
Thank you.
Tomorrow? Yeah.
No idea what day it is.
I'm offering a workshop tomorrow. I believe it's at 12:30. In it, I will lead a hypnosis group where you will get to experience parallel and ET lives. And again, remember and experience it yourself. So it's going to be a treat. And in the afternoon, I am presenting, and that's when I'm going to channel for you. And you will hear some light language. And also, hopefully, some Q&A. You can ask Hathor questions yourself. And also, I'm doing an outdoor journey. And that's on Saturday. And we're going to go to the Tree of Life of Sedona. And I was there this morning with Jamye. And so I'm pretty sure that the tree wants to come through and speak to us. So probably going to channel the tree in addition to Hathor, maybe some fairies, and we'll see whoever else wants to say hello.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Lyssa, and I will be doing, it's hard to keep track of them. Oh, no, I am a channel, as I think most of you know. I'm not going to give you the spiel. But I've been channeling since 1985, so it's been a really long time. It will be 40 years next year, which is freaking me out to just say it. And mostly the focus has been extraterrestrial energy. Awakening process, opening to channel, but my greatest love is the issue of opening to contact. So much of what Alan was saying in the lecture before this, I was sitting in my seat very excited because it really, I think you all will agree, it feels like we are on that cusp. And it's not so much about them, it's about us. And so as we do whatever we need to do to prepare for this and to open ourselves and to move into that space like Alan was talking about, we get that much closer to this inevitability for our species. That being said, my program during this conference, each event builds on each other. So tomorrow morning is the presentation. It's an hour channeling. And then shortly after that, I think, whatever time it is, 12:30, I think, is the workshop. So we're going to take whatever. If you miss the presentation, it's fine. And you come to the workshop, you're not going to, be lost in the woods. But it's going to be building on this whole idea of recognizing ourselves as multidimensional, as holographic in nature in terms of our consciousness, how we can work with that, where does that take us. Then the outdoor journey is Saturday. And in that outdoor journey, there's a particular being that I channel that likes to work outside. His name is Hamon from Sirius. And so he's going to, I think, be leading that journey. Exploring the idea of contact with utilizing the Earth's energy, which obviously Sedona is such a perfect place for that, because you have the cosmic energy and you have the Earth energy. Sorry, Jamie, I'm taking so long. I'm trying to spit it all out. Okay. So that's the outdoor journey, and then of course you heard about the CE5, which means Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, for anyone that doesn't know what that term means, which is basically creating a unified field together and opening ourselves to contact in whatever form is appropriate for us at this time. As Alan said, Sedona is a perfect place for that because we have the Earth energy and we have the strong cosmic energy. So I don't know what's going to happen, but that's my greatest love, so I'm really excited about it. And thank you all so much for being here this weekend. And I look forward to playing in these wonderful energies with all of you.
I'm Jamye, but there's no time.
We want to hear you.
First of all, thank you to everyone for coming, and thank you, Suzanne, for putting this together. This is going to be a really fun weekend. My name is Jamye, and I channel and teach light language. Many of you may know me from that. I also channel in English. I channel Arion, the Lyran Council of Time, and their work is very focused on tying us into our Lyran roots, but really assisting us through our ascension process, because the connection that we have with them as our ancestors really helps us to understand what Lyssa was talking about, this cusp that we are on that is so exciting. It's sometimes frustrating, and it's easy to look and go, am I weird or is the rest of the world weird? And here we'll assume it's them. But that change is really exciting, and we have so much support. And so light language is one of the tools that I use for that. Channeling is one of the tools that I use for that. I teach healers as well. There's a modality that my Lyran guides transmitted to me called crystalline soul healing. So I'll be utilizing all of those this weekend. And for those of you that were on the journey today, that was really beautiful connecting with that tree. I know y'all are going to have fun on your outdoor journeys this weekend. And tomorrow I will be doing a presentation, I think at 12:30. And that one is going to be very interactive, to support you with some physical processes through this ascension that we're going through. It's a very natural process. It's a self-empowerment process to really expand our consciousness and our awareness so that we're interacting from that consciousness that we are, that connected consciousness. So we'll be doing that tomorrow in the workshop, and then I will be presenting on Saturday, the last day, in the morning. And I'll go a little bit deeper into light language and do some activations and things like that. So we will have fun. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Callie Palmatier. I am an evidential psychic medium. So I channel loved ones who've crossed over. And as an evidential medium, I picked up on details such as a spirit's appearance, their personality, how they passed. I even get exact names in about 60% of my readings. Tomorrow at 5, I will be doing a group mediumship reading here. So I will be channeling your loved ones. So show up if you're missing people who have crossed over. And I will channel as many spirits as we can during that hour. Then on Saturday, I am offering a workshop, The Secret Language of Mediums. And that's where I am prepared to talk about information such as, how is it that I can tell who's coming through? How can I tell? How did they pass? How can I tell what their personalities were like, what they looked like, things like that. the secret language of mediums, and it's different for all different mediums. We have different symbols and signs that we use, but there are certain universal concepts related to developing signs and symbols. So I'm just really thankful to be here.
Thank you, Kelly.
Hello, I'm Vincent Genna, and I'm a psychic therapist, medium, spiritual teacher, and author. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is my friend, the wheelchair over there, we're listening to Suzanne, and how we drop into that physical limitation, and the blessing that it is, because in transcending from it is where the gift is, because you realize your power and your unlimitedness. That's the gift, that's the icing on top of the cake. And just to share, is just recently I developed a genetic neuromuscular disorder, which is on the lines of muscular dystrophy. Yes, there is a possibility that I could die. However, that's what it says on paper, and that's what the doctors might say. But we know, as we've been talking about, we come from a different consciousness. We're transcending to that level, and this is what I will be doing, is turning the physical body into my spiritual body and allowing myself to transcend from this disease. We're all going to have it. You think transcending just happens one time. No, it happens the entire course of your lifetime, because it takes that much to be able to truly understand your unlimitedness. So as a psychic therapist, and I call myself a therapist because since I get into not only your soul and make connections with the Akashic records, your soul's past, present, whatever, I get into the deepest, darkest places of your mind. And to me, that was a great responsibility. So I decided to go back to school in 1992 and get my BA in psychology and my master's in clinical social work. So yes, I'm both psychic and psycho. The therapist. So I use that, and so yes, tomorrow morning, first thing, actually, I'm going to be doing some of the same stuff. I'm going to cross over the veil and bring in some of your deceased loved ones. So absolutely, and most of the time that I do that is also for the purpose of not just making a connection, but they want to heal things just as much as you want to heal things. And they want to help you to be able to do that. So that's going to be tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon is my outdoor journey. From 12:30 to 3:30, not only will I be connecting with an intergalactic council that has made contact with me, so that I will get some messages from that realm, but you will be able to get the messages too, because I'm going to be teaching you how to open up telepathically so that you can get messages from our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters in spirit and life form too. And then Saturday is going to be really diving in to teaching you how to become more intuitive. And the other word for psychic is intuition anyway. It's just that we spent more time focused on that and developing it even more so. So I'll be doing that on Saturday morning with you, and even some mediumship. And I can tell you right now, from all the classes I taught, people will always walk away with an experience that they go, I didn't know I could do that. So come and join us on Saturday morning and get to experience that yourself. Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Wow. Might be looking up here thinking, what's with the tide? Yeah, so I'm out of channel. Not officially, but I'm super excited to be here, and I'm the event manager, and this is my amazing sister Suzanne, and I'm so thrilled to be doing these events with her, and just thank you so much for being a part of this. And apparently she dined me out on my dancing. Somebody came up and congratulated me, so yeah, that's very much a part of the joy frequency, and we're both very much into that concept of finding our joy, and through expressing your joy, you radiate that out, and it helps everyone kind of uplift the vibration and frequency. But why am I here on this with these esteemed folks up here? So my name is Andy, and I'm a book publisher. All right. So the name of my company is Sacred Dragon Publishing. Cool name, right? And so I've got a little table over there if you want to find out more about the publishing business. But as you can see, I was a little hesitant to come up here. I had to get a little nudge to come up here and sit among my esteemed peers. But in fact, I am offering a workshop this weekend. And it is the last workshop of the weekend, so it's appropriate where I'm at here. So the name of my workshop is Quantum Creativity for New Earth Architects. Wah, 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 wah. And of course, as a book publisher, one might imagine that workshop has to do with books and words. And Suzanne and I were talking about this, and she kind of said, "So you're doing a workshop?" Because she knows if she asked me, I probably would have said no. But we have some amazing conversations, and one of the things that's very, very near and dear to my heart is the concept of how we create worlds through words. We really, it's incredible the power of words, and we take them for granted so much of the time, and we take for granted the power that we have to wield words. And just to put that into context, we're going to do two things. Right now, we're just going to consider being at this entire event without words. How's that going? Right? And what's so amazing about just the profundity of that is that while we're all still here and we kind of have a connection in some ways, it's the power of the word, the harmonic of the word, the frequency of the word, how we express the word that connects us, right? And then through that connection, we have a gravitational force, a magnetizing force that then through action becomes form. So, and the other idea I want to share with you is this concept of we build world through words. The only difference in those two words is an L. What the heck does that tell you? And we're going to explore that a lot. There's some really interesting ways in which words give us keys and codes about our power and how we can use them to create. My workshop is going to be a lot about our toolkit, what we are doing with words and creating our new world, and you're going to be amazed. You're going to get a kick out of how much we have in our toolkit. But the first part of our toolkit is creating from a new paradigm. Creating from the new paradigm, and that new paradigm is the unknown. So if you know you're creating from what I call the Museum of History. We live in the Museum of History, and that's cool. But what if we start creating from the world of the unknown in the now? How do we do it? What do we need in our toolkit to change that, to make those ideas become words, and then actions that become worlds? The other thing I'd like to just leave you with is how cool is it? You know, divine synchronicity always at play. That this would be the last workshop of this event, because I imagine that as a result of all this incredible information coming in, some of you are going to be quite inspired to express that in your own way. And how are you going to do that? You're going to do it through words. And some of you might even find a calling that you have a book in you. And that's going to be really fun to explore. So if any of that sounded like fun and excitement, you want to see my other tie, come see me on Saturday.
I just also want to say that my beloved sister, she's quite humble. She actually served our country as a very brave soldier in Desert Storm for many years. And she just recently retired from being the Deputy Attorney General.
By the tie.
And I love her dearly. Okay, so Ann Tucker, Robin Jelinek, they weren't able to be here for this, but of course they're also offering workshops and outdoor journeys that you can learn about in your Sked app. So I'm going to turn it over to Alan Steinfeld, who's an amazing guest panel host, and we're going to dive in to the interdimensional adventures.
Yes. I love doing panels. It's like making soup, you know. A little bit of an ingredient here and there, and we come together. So why don't we start with Yafi? And the question that I think that came to me as everyone was talking is that there's this other world out there. We know what channel psychics mean, but how do we start to integrate this? Or is there a plan or is there a vision? How do we get this more public? How do we tell the world this is possible? How do we start to cognize those realities?
Well, a part of it is inevitable because our
Yes.
world is changing and growing, and people, whether they want to or not, are going to be exposed to the changes. But essentially, it's all about leading by example. So, yes, talking to people and sharing our vision is important, but what's the most important is how we live our lives. And this misconception that if we are channelers or we're into extraterrestrials, we are woo-woo, we are ungrounded, we are dysfunctional. This idea starts falling apart when the people around you that are really deeply into spirituality and really immerse themselves in this world actually tend to be more balanced, actually tend to be happier in their life,
Right.
actually have deeper connections with themselves and the world around them. And that's really what's going to make the biggest difference. And that's what's going to rub off on everyone around you, whether it's behaviorally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, consciously. That's how we grow together. And that's how we're changing ourselves and the world around us.
Thanks. Yeah, so Lyssa, like sort of the same question, but you've been doing this for 40 years. And I think Darryl started 40 years ago too, right?
3 years before me.
Right. So, what did you see? Like, so you were there at the first wave. So, what has changed? What's happening? What's happening with the public as far as all this?
Wow. How much time do we have?
As much as you want. Doesn't exist.
Well, I started really young for that time. So I started channeling, I think, when I was like 24 or something like that, which back in the 80s was super young. And
So that makes you, let's see, how old
like
now?
60, I can't, I don't.
Whatever, no, sorry.
No, I don't care.
No, go ahead.
No, 63, I think. I'd have to do the math. I don't remember. But anyway, and back then, of course, it was new and it was fresh and exciting. And we had back then because it was new and fresh, we didn't have a lineage or something to go back on to see the progress up until that point.
Right.
So we were kind of creating the new.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know there's a lot of people maybe from my generation, so Hands Across America and harmonic convergence,
Yeah, I love that.
all of that was really big in the 80s, and it was like we were laying the groundwork for that,
Yeah.
not really knowing where it would lead. And I remember, because I started going to Darryl's channelings. He's getting a lot of press this weekend.
Yeah, well, he was just...
He's a good friend of mine. Some of us, we were going to those channelings in the 80s, and Bashar's messages were new and fresh and different, and he was talking about the future. And he was talking about what was going to happen as we went into this new time of awakening. So one of the gifts for me, having been around so long, is in the subsequent decades, I've been able to see that what we started channeling in the 80s, what Darryl started channeling in the 80s, is in fact unfolding from the seeds that were planted at that time. Now, of course, seeds were planted before then as well. But now, in this current time, we're seeing those the fruits of those seeds starting to blossom. I know when we look at the world, maybe it doesn't look that way, but as you were saying earlier, the destruction before creation, right?
Yeah.
Destruction of the old. I can't even remember your question. I'm sorry.
No, just also how has the landscape changed as far as the public?
Has the landscape okay, how's the landscape? Yes. The landscape has changed hugely because back then we were the weirdos. Maybe we're still the weirdos, but at least the weirdo group has gotten larger. In the sense that you now, if you go to work and you work a regular job, in the 80s you never talked about this stuff.
Yeah.
But now, if you go to a regular job, pretty much if you're being your natural self, people get that you're into this. And guess what? If you have a transcendent experience or a UFO sighting, you are the one, or if they have them, you are the one they're going to ask for advice. So we're seeing it really more in the mass or the mainstream now, but in a normalized way.
Yeah, I know.
Which is exciting, and it's exactly what I think was foreseen in the 80s with all of this. So those of you now, especially you young ones, you're laying the foundation for the next 40 years of the awakening of planet Earth, and that's really exciting. So don't be discouraged, just get out there and let your weirdo flag fly. And maybe in 40 years it's going to be embraced even more.
Thank you. You know, I got into an Uber to get to the airport, and this guy, I said, "Oh, that sounds interesting. What are you listening to?" He goes, "I'm listening to Bashar. Have you heard?" In the Uber. So I said, "Wow, this has really gotten popular. This is really out there." So you're right. There's now more of us than them, maybe. Everyone's unique. So Jamye, thanks. Anything you've been doing this for a while, right?
Yes.
So what have you noticed as things evolve?
So part of my lens that I got to see things through, I call myself a second waver. So my biggest openings were in the early 2000s, although they first started in 1987 when I knew nothing about the harmonic convergence. But then looking back, that was when I first started having very clear psychic messages. But the light language lens has been an interesting one because when it first started happening to me, I hadn't heard of it, and then you couldn't find much about it at the time. It was out there, but you couldn't even find what it was. And then it started growing, and it was always going to go that way because we are becoming a different vibration that it's stretching our bandwidth into conscious interaction with the subtle realm more directly. And light language, as an example of that, is a form of communication that is subtle. It's wave-like in its expression. And so seeing that expand has been a very visceral and obvious marker point of how we're changing. That before it was just a few people, and then it would be more and more, and that's part of what's naturally happening to us. We're becoming more intuitive. We're having experiences that are showing us and reinforcing for us that this is the new normal. The weirdos are the new normal. And yes, and it's just going to keep going in that direction. That's where it's going. Our physicality is changing. I loved what Ellen was talking about with one, just seeing the dolphin brain and the human brain, some of the things that Ariane has been channeling about lately of how our physicality is changing. It's not always obvious to us, but the accessibility of our intuitive senses and our channeling abilities, whether that's light language or the language that you know, or it's art forms for you, that we are all channels, and that's just going to keep expanding. So that to me has been one of the easiest ways to see the direct growth of it, because I interact with people with light language so much. it's just exploding, and it's going to keep going that way.
Wow, thank you. The thing about mediumship, it's been around a long, long time. I mean, since the beginning of history, people were talking. So, do you find it more accepted? What's your experience of your work now?
Well, certainly what I find is that the more people I talk to about my own experiences as a medium, the more I realize that everybody has some interaction with their loved ones who've crossed over. Everybody has some level of intuitive ability, and it's only when you have certain experiences you start to understand that you're actually connecting with your loved ones who've crossed over more than you realize. And so I think that's just one of the things that has become more obvious to me over the years that I've been doing this, is that everybody has some level of mediumship ability, because it's just like your own intuitive ability. And I just think that it's something that more and more people are realizing over time.
Great, yeah, I think so too. It's more popular. People are accepting it more. You know, near-death experiences, people are just, you know.
Fortunately for me, even if we're all mediums, it can be hard to be objective when you're channeling your own loved ones. So it's always nice to visit somebody else, to have those experiences with you and say, well, I'm getting this. Oh, how did you know? Whereas if you're trying to channel for yourself, you're like, well, I already knew that my mother would say that.
Right. Yes, that's
Yeah.
a good point, yes.
I
Thank
think
you.
one of the most wonderful things about mediumship is proof of afterlife. Like, who here likes to watch like near-death experiences, right? Or people have gone to the other side and come back. It's proof of afterlife, that consciousness continues, that we do just drop our body and we transition into another realm. Our consciousness continues and our loved ones are still there. Like some of the near-death experiences that I've seen in documentaries or on TV, where people leave their body and they all of a sudden they realize, I still am. I still am. I'm here. Like, my body might be laying in the street, but I'm still me, and I still am. And it's just like proof.
No, it's major proof, and just to piggyback on that, and I got to tell you that in America, it was completely different mediumship. Matter of fact, when a medium went from here to the UK, they did not like us. They didn't want us to come there at all because they revered mediumship. It's a religion to them. And matter of fact, it's practice. The spiritualist churches around, the ministers will do mediumship connections during the service for the reason of proving, not so that you can find out why your uncle left all the money to your cousin instead of you, but to find out that you continue afterwards. And so that's why they saw it as a religious, very sacred type of thing. Over here, it began, and it did not take on great seriousness. It was an entertainment thing. Look at your television shows.
Right.
I'm sorry, they've turned mediumship into, that is not proof what you see on TV, okay? That is all, I knew many of the producers there, it's very produced. As a matter of fact, when the both of us are doing some connections, please don't think that everything is going to be a yes, 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 oh my God, you're going to start crying right away. You know, we have to work through these things and interpret some of the messages we're getting. We don't have an editing team here editing out all the nosing. What the hell are you talking about? I don't know. Who's that? You know what I mean? So it's different. You're going to have real down-to-earth stuff. If I can piggyback on those questions.
Yes, please.
Okay, Yafi, Lyssa, Jen, all of you said incredible things about what's happening, normalizing, having to take care of yourself in order to be able to be part of the wholeness and the group. I've been doing that, 1 year more than you, 41 years. That's Lyssa. That's because I'm the oldest on the panel, I'm sure, probably. And what I've seen is what my job is. If you don't know about